Yeah. And, honestly, it's been a great ride for us. Also, if you guys didn't see any of the coverage from yesterday, you can make sure to check out the Top Cut Events YouTube. They've re uploaded all of day one, and they're going to be re uploading to day two here as well. But here it is. We've got Chris Sock on the left and Bayi on the right.
So G is going to be going second in this one. I think Chris Sock taking first out of the turn order. Looks like going to be using a Viola and a Dressrosa Kingdom to start out this game for the two Dawn. Finding a Bartolomeo, maybe think about playing it on the next turn, whether it's just hard playing it or a memento of him. And Chris Sock going in with an 8,000 power swing, just going to take that life going down to 3. Leader effect now drawing one card and passing off the turn, going to G's 4th.
All right, going a big 5 here.
5,000 power swing at lead, probably going to proc Nami's leader effects. You see the Dr. Hogback in the hand. Just trying to think about maybe what card is best to pitch off of the leader effect. You can trash any card once per turn on your opponent's attack from your hand to become a 7,000 power leader for the rest of the turn. Right now, you're just trying to set up the trash a little bit and be able to get things in the discard pile for maybe some of your triggers. Ends up going with the 4-cost Zoro. So now the Barto coming down on the field. I was talking about this earlier with the combination of go ahead and use him, Mr. Luffy. That Barto's on play effect, being able to cheat out a 3-cost Dressrosa event to be able to draw 2 cards off of that main phase and then one more off of your leader effect.
All right, we got the 2K there to get out of it. And then we do have a 4-cost Hogback hitting the board and passing back.
So the Hogback coming down onto the field. We'll see if G on his 6th Dawn turn goes ahead with the barrier pistol. Something that we saw was very influential in the top 4 match. Could be influential here as well, and maybe trying to look for it off of the Bello Betty. I know this has kind of been a fringe card in a lot of players' lists, but as a nice 2 or 3 of, be able to look at that top 5 for a dress or a Revolutionary Army kind of card. It flows a lot with the with the Dressrosa typing, but I think just whiffed on that.
Yeah, Betty's kind of, not the best searcher in this deck all the time. There's a lot of Dressrosa cards. There are some good Revolution Army cards as well, but not as much as you might would hope at times.
Yeah, especially when you talk about the go ahead and use them, Mr. Luffy, or the barrier pistol. A lot of those have the Barto Club tag instead of the Revolutionary Army typing. So unfortunate there for G. And maybe that's one of the things that Chris is going to need to be able to stay alive within this game and really catch the momentum. But taking the 7,000 power swing, I believe it was, is just going to go ahead, take the life, no trigger. Now the 5,000 power swing, just going to be a Perona to on the leader effect. Now Cavendish coming down on the field. So even though you weren't able to get rid of the Hogback, at least you were able to get a Cavendish down onto the field for the future turns.
And that Cavendish has been very helpful against Nami's as well. Being able to just get multiple card draws, and Nami doesn't really have a great way to get rid of it outside of like a Zeus, which still you usually have to like use, you lose a life for that too, which is kind of tough.
Something that I think G doesn't really mind in a sense, especially because that two Dawn this early in the game means that maybe an impactful body like the 5-cost Nami might not hit the field or something of the sort. Just going to be a 1K out of the 5K swing with the Jozu. Now another 5K swing. Going to use leader effect to get rid of the go ahead and use them, Mr. Luffy, because any event or stage card can be utilized. And it looks like it is going to be the Zeus to get rid of that Cavendish. Chris just recognizing how much value that Cavendish can get. And so now going ahead and using the 2 for that. And then leader effect, because a life left the life area, you're able to draw an extra card. And the 5 for Borsellino, even though you took a life to go down to 2, you're going right back up to 3 with Borsellino healing 1.
All right, going back to Lucy here. And, I believe we do have enough Dawn for a Sabo potentially this turn. I mean, it's very clear that this has been like one of the best cards in this deck. It offers a lot of plays and synergies, but starting off with a 7K with the Bart here.
So 7,000 power swing with the Bard is going to either get one card off the block and counter with Borsalino, or potentially two cards with leader effect and another card, but ends up going with the life anyways. Kiku Nojo, because G is at 3 or less life, going to be able to play that down off the field from trigger. And Sabo coming in is going to just immediately barrier pistol the Kiku Nojo, and Mike's Kiku is going down to the bottom of the deck. So now going to Nami's next turn, I believe at 9 Dawn right now in total. So Gecko Moria now as a viable option to be able to play, 1 Dawn being attached, and now swinging 6 with Hogback. Taking the swing, going down to 2 for G is going to be another 6,000 power. Really just trying to ask for 2Ks at this point, especially with only one blocker on the field in the Sabo. Aside from 2Ks, it's the Dressrosa Kingdom or 2 events in the hand that G can utilize. So with the Robin here, just going to be healing after the free block to trash 1 life and heal 2. The Marco hitting the trash is actually pretty solid setup for you, simply because an 8 cost Gecko trigger could play it out onto the field.
Yeah, and it's good to have like this wider board against Lucy, because you do get a lot from like some little chip damage you get here and there as well. And honestly, sometimes the momentum of this game is just how many of these you know Sabos you're able to play back to back.
So now off of this, Rebecca going in and looking at that top 3 is going to find a Cavendish to be able to grab into the hand. Interesting grab from Cavendish instead of the Memento event, right? Especially because Cavendish is a brick in the hand, where the Memento event could be a possible 1K or something like that. But maybe just going to go wide himself with like a 7 cost Sabo into Memento event.
Yeah. Also, like sometimes it happens as well where you do have the 7 drop salvo, but you don't necessarily have the event you want to play off of it, right? So that ends up just being kind of awkward just to, just play a 7/9 blocker without much more of an effect. But we're going to attack 7K with the Bart once again.
Bart is going to ask for a couple cards out of hand or a block from Borsalino. So we'll see what Mike decides to do. Is going to go ahead, leader effect the Robin away, and then 1K the Mr. 3 out. Thinking about swinging now at the Hogback. I think we have a Perona in the trash, so could let this knockout happen and just get Perona. But maybe one of the things that Mike needs to think about is if the Hogback goes away and you put the Perona on field, might be something like a barrier pistol that comes out and bottom decks it. But I think you're okay with that, just simply because Hogback could just get bottom decked anyways.
Yeah. And I think that we're just kind of, our leader can't attack anywhere anyway. So as much as it gives them another body back, it just means that, you quote unquote remove the protection of that hog back, right? So now you can, KO the Perona next turn a little bit more safely if that ends up being the case. Playing another Sabo though, we do have the 4 drop event there. So draw 2, trash 1, and we can play a 4 cost from our hand.
So it looks like a 2 cost Fire Fist and a go ahead and use him. Mr. Luffy was grabbed off of that draw from the Memento. Is going to go ahead and trash the go ahead and use him. Mr. Luffy now playing over the Viola to get that Cavendish that we knew was in the hand on the field, and then leader effect drawing an additional card because we played a 3 cost or higher event. Is going to more than likely be the end of the turn after attaching this last Dawn to Rebecca. Maybe thinking a little bit on if he wants to swing this Sabo, and he's going to do exactly that, try to lay on the pressure on Mike.
All right. We got the thing here.
So with the 9,000 power swing, you could go ahead and take a life right here to go to 2. Maybe give yourself an opportunity to be able to play something like Borsalino again to block her up a little bit. Or maybe just go ahead and give a couple cards in the hand or block.
Yeah, I don't mind going down to 2 as you mentioned, like it can offer a chance to play another Borsellino. But it looks like we're just going to block here, get rid of the Borsellino, and then pass from there.
So now a full 10 Dawn turn for the Nami. We'll see exactly what they try to play right here, especially with Nami's playing things like 10 cost Newgate. That could be an option on this turn. And it looks like that OP13 SR in the Newgate going to be played. Draw 2, trash 1, and attach 2 Rested Dawn to both a leader and a character. It's going to get some bigger swings coming in at lead in the face of these 9,000 power blockers.
Yeah, and this is definitely already something different from the previous match we saw. We just never really had time or ability to play out a Newgate, so it is a pretty good blocker in this matchup where you are able to block a Sabo attack pretty easily.
So looking at the hand, I think the other two 7-cost Sabos are in the hand for G right now. So at least
Yeah,
we'll have all 4 of them.
it is nice. I think really what's going on is that we might not necessarily have the event that we're hoping to be able to play off of it right now.
Mm-hmm. So with leader effect and a 2K is going to get out of that 7,000 power swing. The Robin swing 8,000 power is going to get the Rebecca block. We move on to G's next turn, still sitting at 2 life right now. And looking at Mike's hand, he's got a couple 5-cost Luffy's in there. That's secret rare from OP15. That might be pretty nice to be able to rush in against a blocker deck such as this.
All right, so we're going to start off with a 6K attack with Cavendish, get a draw 2, discard 1. Getting rid of the 1 drop there. 1 drop 2K too, which usually, 2Ks can be quite a boon in this deck. Our leader effect is really good at defending ourselves, but not necessarily our characters on board.
So if you're Mike right now, yeah, he said, "Oh, you just pitched a 2K off of that effect. How many do you have in the trash?" Gotta imagine that the rest of his hand is pretty good cards to utilize and is going to be finding the Fire Fist off of the Rebecca. So Fire Fist maybe in combination. And what we could see right now, especially with 1 Dawn utilized, still 9 left, is we could go in and we could use Sabo to the 7-cost Fire Fist and then utilize the 2-cost Fire Fist that I believe is still in hand to be able to get rid of this Edward Newgate before any value of blocking, because that would be a 0-powered character. So playing over the Bartolomeo is going to get that Sabo on the field. The minus 8,000 power is going to go onto that Newgate to make it a 4, and your leader an 8,000 power. We'll see if the 2 Dawn is used for that Fire Fist since we're at 2 or less life.
Yeah, and yeah, minus 8K until the end of next turn for Mike there. And then we do have the Fire Fist from OP05, reducing it to 0. Our life is at 2 or 0, or sorry, 2 or less. And so we do just get the full clear on that Newgate. That is huge.
It's going to be a big swing for G in this one to stay alive in here. And now just going in with some 9,000 power swings. A Gecko trigger comes in to be able to play out a 4-cost or less onto the field. Looks like it'll choose Marco as the choice for, potential block in case there are any more swings from these 7-cost Sabos. But G holds the brakes on there, does not swing with his other 7-cost Sabo that he has active that he could have swung with, and just says, you know what, maybe I try to get it with a barrier pistol later in the game, maybe.
Yeah, and I think with some technicality, I think he attacked with the one that he played that turn, because I think he put it right there, and that looked. I could just be wrong on that, but only 2 of his 3 Sabos could attack anyways. So decided to just leave 2 open, so it is in an okay spot.
As long as both players are aware, if they're the exact same card, that one of them can swing. Typically, it's fine between the players, yeah. But
Yeah,
that's something that you do need to know and you need to be aware of if you're playing the One Piece card game, especially at a high level like this, where a lot is on the line. Regional champion is going to be crowned after this best of 3. Now moving into Nami's turn, is thinking about splitting the Dawn. I think there's a Borsellino in hand, so could go ahead with Borsellino to heal back up to 3 and get that blocker on the field. But first, we're going to swing 11,000 power with the Robin, or 12, I'm sorry.
yeah, and we played Rebecca, but we didn't find Dawn to put on it for this past turn. So this could be a big amount of pressure. Removing a Sabo like this could be huge, and put a little bit of momentum back on Mike. Though, of course, how do you recover getting a Newgate removed? That is such a tough task.
especially with G only having, I think, 4 cards in hand. There's actually not a lot of opportunities if you try to get rid of some of these bodies to be able to counter out. And it looks like 5 Dawn might potentially be a tap, but not before a 6K swing that just gets auto blocked and Borsellino going in with the heal. So a little bit of a slow return, but G can only play 4 7 cost Sabo. So if you get rid of one, it's going to put you a little bit closer to be able to come back in this game.
All right. Well, back to Lucy here. We're at 7 Dawn again, tapped. So our fourth and final version of Sabo. We do have a barrier. We're going to be able to draw off leader effect. Getting rid of the Marco without proc hits on KO effect is huge, especially since it is a big blocker there. We're going to attack with Cavendish 7K, draw 2, trash 1, and the pressure begins once again.
So pitching the Bartow off of that effect, saving the Cavendish in hand for potentially playing it in the next turn. As you talked about, there's no 7 cost Sabos left within the game. So maybe Cavendish can be one of the better cards to be able to play as bodies are leaving the board in future turns. Leader effect in 1K is going to get out of that attack. Now a 9,000 power swing is going to go ahead, take the life of potential trigger, maybe a body out onto the field like Perona or Hogback, but maybe an ACOS Gecko. ACOS Gecko going in and playing the Marco back out onto the field. One was in the bottom of the deck, but one was in the trash. So there he is back again, the boogeyman or the Phoenix, I should say, coming
Yeah, I mean
back
that's
from the trash.
it's lore accurate. We're fine. Marco keeps coming back. Maybe not the ways that we thought it would, but we're here for it.
And so Marco is going to be a really nice option to be able to have some hand recursion to be able to try to maintain resources. Because now I think you're in somewhat of a resource war, right? Alongside G, especially because both players hovering at 2 life right now, with Mike having the potential to heal. It's going to attach 1 Dawn onto Rebecca, have 3 blockers up as active. Could have swung with another one of these 7 cost Sabos, but said, you know what? With all of the removal that you're trying to do right now, maybe it's best to just leave it as active to try to get an easier block.
Now, one card that I see in hand right now for Mike that I haven't seen in other Namis, but not too unusual, is the 5 cost Secret Rare Luffy from OP15, the Sky Island card. So this actually is just a really good tool against specifically Sabo. Says on it when a block or event is activated, you are able to reveal the top card of your life, and then whatever cost it is, you get that amount of power. So we reveal a 5 cost, we do get a plus 5K. And even though we've got these big Sabo blockers, we're now just really disincentivized to attack with them or to block with them now.
Yeah, especially because this effect can happen as many times within a turn. If you were to block all 3 times with your 3 blockers on the field, that's 3 instances of a life that can boost up the power on this Luffy. So not opting to block on that 9,000 power swing with the Robin is going to activate Nami's leader effect of drawing 1 card in the once per turn. Still has 4 Dawn left to work with right now. One more than likely needs to be attached to leader, so then you can become a 7K leader defensively. But what about the other 3?
Yeah, and again, Luffy can attack this turn since it does have rush. Since we do have 6 or more Dawn on the field, do likely need to attach at least 1 Dawn to Nami, maybe 2.
And so, honestly, especially with this Luffy on the field too, you can swing like a little bit more low to the ground, I think, just simply because you'll be able to get that power boost. So ends up swinging 9,000 power over at the Sabo. Just trying to say, do you have any actual counter in hand? Even though Sabo can pitch events and stages for plus 1,000 power, that is only to leader, not at the 7 cost. So that's how you netted the 2K Viola in hand.
Yeah, and I like keeping the Luffy active here because you don't really have an impactful swing, and you'd rather have it around for some more pressure on the next turn, like make sure to force a block. So without that, though, we do have a potential for Lucy to apply a lot of damage. We've got Cavendish attacking again. I think we've resolved it like 3 or 4 times this game again.
Mhm.
So much card draw and consistency from that one.
Yeah, even though the first one was Zeus at the very beginning of the game, the second one coming down off of the 7-cost Sabo is just given so much value. So is going to go ahead and leader effect 2K out of that attack to go up to 8. Didn't end up blocking with Marco. So going to be interesting to see if G maybe does like a barrier pistol on the Marco again. I think just getting a quick count on some of the key cards for G in this matchup. Looks like a Fire Fist, I think, is going to be played just outright here. So Fire Fist is going to minus 8,000 power on the Luffy, and we got to fulfill the effect of the Fire Fist, even though Luffy, after the Fire Fist, normally would be able to get a boost of power because of that effect. Because the Fire Fist needs to be fulfilled and the KO needs to happen, it doesn't allow the Luffy to get that effect. So great job, IG, kind of saving that card for that specific instance, maybe, especially because we have open deck lists in Top Cut, was maybe aware that this was a potential scenario.
Yeah, and that's like one of the ways that we can remove. And I would be kind of like, oh, there are so many times where Fire Fist would have made a lot more sense. I think the last couple turns, maybe they just don't have it. They haven't been able to see it, and there is a chance that Cavendish was just able to find it for us anyways. But a really good way to remove what otherwise was a pretty scary threat.
So now with only 5 cards in hand for Mike, these 7-cost Sabos going in and swinging big. A 9,000 power swing now coming in lead. Still one Dawn, so more than likely going to be attached to Rebecca to leave 2 blockers up as active within the turn, still sitting at 1 life. Got a little bit of counter in hand. I know we have at least a baby 5 2K and I think one more 1K. But the tricky thing about Nami right now is when exactly do you block and with what do you block, right? Especially if it's a Borsalino in the hand right now as your 1K that you could have countered out with. Is it even worth countering out with something like Borsalino? Would you rather just play it on the field to be able to heal and be able to get that longevity within the game?
Yeah, it's just tough when clearly Sabo's board. I mean, it's probably as wide as it's gonna get, right? Three
Mhm.
Sabos with a fourth one in the trash, another blocker with Rebecca, and we got Cavendish hanging out. So it's just so much pressure we get consistently. And again, 9K is such a good number against Nami, who otherwise tries to just stay healthy with its 7K leader effect, and 9K still represents two more cards you need out of hand.
So we got a couple different options that we can play looking at the hand. 7-cost Robin, very good card to be able to heal. 5-cost Luffy, as you saw within that last turn, a very threatening card that needs an immediate response or else is going to gain so much value. We also saw cards like the 8-cost Secret Rare Teach, something reserved in Blackbeard. We haven't really seen it be played, I think, outside of maybe a trigger in our Nami matches this weekend. But that is really interesting to be able to look at that top 3 and put whatever card you want in that life from the top 3 and establish a 10,000 power character onto the field. So a lot of different avenues to be able to go for Mike right now, but which one's the right one is the question.
Yeah, it's tough, and there's so many times where I'm like, all right, well, I was able to bring Lucy down to 1 life. I just need to do a little bit more damage. I get there, even 0 life, and it's just like, man, they just have so many blockers. They've got 10 cards in hand. I know that every card in their hand will likely have counter involved with either just naturally or with the leader effect, and it seems just so tough to overcome what kind of defense that this Lucy player can establish.
And you talk about the hand size, right? Like a couple turns ago, we were talking about how Lucy really only had 4 cards in hand, but every turn that Cavendish stays on the field, that's a +1 in the hand in terms of the card draw. So you're starting to see how this card draw can really be impactful in the long con of the game. So now just another 9,000 power swing over at the Sabo, I believe, is just trying to get those off the field. It's a really easy 1 Dawn commitment to try your best to get it out of here.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be using the stage discarding an event to get a +2K on that attack.
So now another 9 over at the Sabo. Now something like the 8-cost each can't come out onto the field, but I believe we have a Borsalino in hand that might be our option to be able to play as a 2K Leo gets out of that attack, healing 1, going back up to 2. It is a battle that we have here, and it feels like nobody's trying to give any give.
Yeah, yeah, it's just such a, build pressure, make blockers, gain life back. I mean, both these leaders are, I mean, we saw this last match in top four. This is definitely more of the pace that I'm usually used to for, two of these more defensive decks in the game.
Mhm. Our finals in regional championships, if you do not know, are untimed. So players can really spend as much time as they want to thinking about the different lines, or in this best of three, this game can go on as long as it's needed to be able to pull an official winner in this championship. Is going to start out with the Cavendish, though, 6,000 power to be able to draw two trash one. We did find another Fire Fist, so is going to go ahead, get rid of the go ahead and use him, Mr. Luffy. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't been using the go ahead and use him, Mr. Luffy, or at least holding them in the hand just to be able to get a little bit more card draw potentially in a turn that maybe we need to take off one.
Yeah, I just feel like we've just gotten so much card draw already, right? I mean, Cavendish being able to just be essentially untouchable in the
Mhm.
traditional sense in this matchup is really tough. It looks like we are just going to play Fire Fist for the full seven, make it so the Robin is going to be a 0 power into the next turn, so it can't really threaten. You've got 8K from the Lucy attack because of the plus 3K from Fire Fist.
So after leader effect, just a 2K to go up to 9. Now another 9 from the Sabo. Going to be a baby 5 trigger to draw 2 cards. How aggressive do you get with some of these other swings? Really trying to pressure, I think, the block right now off of the Borsalino to maybe just get another character off of the field. Looks like a Don being attached to Rebecca. No, just being very patient. This Lucy player just holding these blockers up. Always has at least 2 of them.
Yeah, and that's where like the fact that you can apply pressure is fantastic. And when we kind of look at the same kind of gameplay from like Ace, right? Another red blue deck, one that's able to get a lot of card draw. We play these big blockers. The fact that Sabo comes out, technically like a turn earlier at times at 7 dawn instead of 8 off of like the new gate effect, and also the combo with Sabo is a little bit more consistent where it's specifically an Ace. You need to find this 8 cost event to play this 10 cost character. And this deck is, I just need to find one of these 7 drops, and there's a variety of events that I can use with it as well.
The diversity of what you can actually play in this deck and some of your combo cards is one of the reasons why back-to-back weekends now that Lucy is in the finals of these different championships. So Mike starting out with the 6,000 power swing. I think, yeah, going in and swinging at lead. And it looks like G is just going to take it. He is not worried about like an unblockable Sanji right now. Maybe just looking because of open deck list, knows that there is no unblockable Sanji in Mike's deck.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, there is a Roger in B's list, so we got to be careful. This Borsalino might not be blocking anytime soon if we are even healing. So that could be the overextension on the other side, and we do have to be careful.
So now what do you do with the rest of this done? I know there's a couple different options with like 8 cost teach in the hand. Do you go with a 5 cost Luffy to be able to go in and rush, try to go for a game? But I don't know. You only have 2 swings left, but 8 cost teach is going to be the play. Putting one of the 3 cards in life. Looks like I think it was going to be a Luffy in there that he put in.
Yeah, it's either Luffy or it might have been a Hogback. Not.
One
It was pretty quick. I'm
Yeah,
not
one of
100.
the two. I think just not finding one of the cards that he was looking for in terms of in the life, but really just I think G is going to have to go for it in this turn. I think time is enough right now, and especially one of the things that you do have to worry about with this deck, and maybe one of the reasons why he's not holding on to the go ahead and use them, Mister Luffy's, is he might, if he uses those, he might be wary of decking out, right?
Sure.
Because of how much card draw this does. Cavendish is always drawing 2, leader effect draws 1. Uh, you could, if you're not careful, just deck out, and especially with a deck like Nami that elongates the game with all this healing, that's something as G that you got to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I mean we're probably getting pretty thin on the deck over there. Probably 20 cards or less, maybe around 15. So we do have to be aware of that. Though I think there's a strong chance that we can maybe try to go for game here. But no, okay, just going 7K. Still could be going for game, but just means that we're giving up the chance for Roger to be the card to bring us home.
And we know that I think in that peak that Roger is in the hand, but pitched Jozu instead. So maybe especially with no whatchamacallit, unblockable Sanji, not afraid of maybe just going in with a little bit of a poke, maybe a couple swings that are not necessarily actually going for game, but just trying to eat cards out of hand right now on Mike and his Nami to be able to then go in with a more confident Roger in the next turn.
The other scary thing is that you know that they know what the top card of their life is. They just added it with Teach. So you
Mhm.
have to imagine, like, man, what is the worst choice that they could pick for me? There could be like another Gecko Mori to bring back a blocker or heal one. We're taking the 9 here, not blocking with the Borsalino.
So 9 Dawn left to be able to work with. Looks like I think we're tapping 5 is going to bottom deck the Borsalino. And now the swings are going to be coming in from the Sabos potentially. Just going to be attaching the rest onto lead. And he's going to scoop it up and go into game 2. G and Lucy are up 1-0 in this best of 3.
Yeah, and that is, a little bit of a different pacing from the previous matchup we saw with that. And I do think that that 5-drop Luffy could be a tech choice that makes this matchup a little bit easier for Nami. But when they see their Sabos, when everything goes right, it is very tough for Nami to interact.
Yeah, especially with so much time that was given to G as well, right? So much time to utilize the Cavendishes, the Bartos to draw into all of those 7-cost Sabos. Kind of felt like he had the 7-cost Sabos very early. I remember pointing out with 2 Sabos on the field that he already had the other 2 in the hand. And without something like Charlotte putting in the format, you can build up your hand as big as you want, and you don't have to worry about going away in this matchup, at least.
All right, just doing the quick shuffle here. Get into it.
So Mike,
And
I believe being the 17th seed in this, was able to choose the turn order in game 1, more than likely probably going to choose the same way if that's the case.
yeah, and trying
Just
to, a lot of these both these decks can be kind of loosey goosey on what they want. I think generally, like, Lucy does kind of appreciate the odd curve a little bit more to play Lucy on 7, right? That ends up being strong. Nami kind of likes going to 10 as soon as possible. Like Nico Robin on 7 and being able to attach the Dawn on leader on the same turn is good, or even like an 8-drop Moria, and then obviously 10-drop Teach. When it doesn't get double fire fisted, right? That ends up being very, a very tough card for Sabo to interact with at times.
And so looks like Lucy keeping the hand while Nami mulliganing, leaving it up to fate to see what these 5 cards are going to be going into this one. I think I saw 2 new gates in the starting hand for Mike and Nami just going first in that game. The fist touch is going to go in now. G going into his first turn, going second. Does have some first turn plays, especially with the Viola, to look at that top 3 for a Dressrosa card.
All right, deciding which one feels the best here.
One of the things that I really like, that can't be found off of this viola that I'm starting to see in G's list, is the couple copies of Jozu that
Mm,
he has. Not something
mhm.
that's searchable and not something that a lot of people play. Jozu used to be one of the best removal cards in the game for blue, and this is kind of his comeback now.
Yeah,
Maybe not necessarily relevant in this matchup as much, but is going to go now. Nami, after swinging 8 and G, taking the life, going 2-3. Now going to go to the 4 Dawn turn. Going to be looking at playing the Cavendish that he found, whether that was the memento of him or just a raw Cavendish. And it looks like a raw Cavendish. So you like to see that if you're Mike. Unfortunately, Cavendish is on the field, but you didn't get that draw to trash 1 effect and then a leader effect draw to be able to just gain more cards within the hand.
yeah. Going for a quick 6K with Nami here, getting a 2K out of the hand. We do have the Perona, which being able to play this on curve like this and prevent the Cavendish from attacking is quite nice. It's one of our kind of few ways to interact with Cavendish outside of like a Zeus. So we will take advantage of it. It does slow down their draws a little bit, but we would like to just have that removed from the board in general.
Yeah, and especially in this early game, you like to see it. And so, even with on the sixth on turn, no barrier pistol to turn this Perona into the bottom of the deck. You like to see that to have another card attacking in this upcoming turn. The go ahead and use him, Mr. Luffy, is going to draw 2 cards, one more off of leader effect, and then the Dressrosa Kingdom being played is going to draw another card. Could go ahead and swing 7 with lead if you didn't want to play any more bodies on the field like Rebecca's or Viola's to try to net a couple cards out of Mike's hand or a life. And it looks like life will be the option.
All right, going down to 3. No trigger there, and passing it to Mike. Not that I think what the only card in trash is like what a Borsellino. So even if we did have a Thriller Bark trigger, it wouldn't really have anything to go off of. But going with the Perona, going 5-5 here.
Trying to eat the Dressrosa Kingdom stage, trying to get him to use that effect. But leader effect, going to pitch a go ahead and using Mr. Luffy for plus 1,000 power in that attack. Has 7 Dawn to work with, maybe eyeing up the 7 cost Robin. You don't have a way to stun this Cavendish again, I think, but off the leader effect or off of the leader swing of 5,000 power using leader effect again to pitch the Just Watch Me Ace.
Yeah, ask for a number of cards in the trash or looking for them as well. So that card does get a little bit cheaper when you have, I think it's 3 or less. Is it 4 or less? 4 or less
Yeah,
events?
but I think we just used our leader effect to just trash it.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
was asking how many events we had in trash for future copies of it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. It's especially relevant, right? Especially on the defensive side, when one Dawn is just left up and presented for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But passing it back, we should be able to, yeah, we get the attack with Cavendish, right? And we're deciding on the discard 1 here.
It's going to
We
be
do
the
get rid of the Perona and we do stun the Viola. So unfortunately, not going to be able to attack with that, but not going to be too upset about it.
And now with the Just Watch Me Ace, there we go. There's that event count to be able to minus 3,000 power. And now the Sabo into the barrier pistol is going to bottom deck that Robin. You don't want to KO it because you have to take a life, but bottom decking it works out perfect.
Yeah. And so that's what I thought. I think they asked like how many do you have that in the trash? Because this combo is like one of the reasons that sometimes going second is better with Lucy here because you do get kind of these upgrades to your your Sabo combos.
So now going into Nami's next turn right now is going to be the 9 Dawn turn. Has a couple different options of cards that they can play. We see the Mr. 3 Galdino in the hand that we've seen all weekend across these blue or partially blue decks, being able to stun bodies. And it might be nice to stun the Cavendish to be able to prevent it from swinging in the next turn, try to stall out these Sabos being played onto the field. Could go like with a Kiku Galdino combo if you wanted.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna start with the Mr. 3 though. We're gonna go big 6 into likely the Cavendish.
I would assume you wanted to go into the Cavendish to maybe present the idea if they let the attack go, then you could just stun the 7 cost blocker. But no, just goes ahead and gets the free block right there with no other swings, and the Mr. 3 preventing the Cavendish from swinging the next turn after playing the Kiku Nojo.
Now, I wouldn't mind just keeping the Mr. 3 out on the board there too without using its effect. Like obviously, yeah, you'd rather not Cavendish attack, but having another body on board to help you maybe attack into it or help remove it would be pretty nice.
It's definitely a tricky situation right here and a tricky matchup to navigate for Mike and his Nami in the finals of the Peoria Regional. Looks like going to be tapping 7 Dawn for another Sabo right here. And the event is the Barrier Rare Pistol, just the board getting cleared. And as you were talking about, we could have had another 5,000 power swing with the Mr. 3 if we kept it on field at that moment, even if they did end up bottom decking the Mr. 3, then at least you would have the Kiku Nojo to swing 6,000.
Yeah. And we're starting off with our 9K attack first. You still have a couple Dawn left over, so we could potentially attack with our Lucy leader as well. No amount of this just should be a 5K to 5 currently because we've not used leader effect.
So he's going to ask for that Newgate in the hand to pitch away. One of the key cards, but maybe it's just your best option at this point, is going to go with the Rebecca to look at that top three.
Yeah, this Rebecca, I mean, we haven't highlighted it much, but it is really one of the best cards in this deck. Not only is it a searcher, but for one extra attached on, you can turn it into a blocker, make it difficult for your opponent to interact with your board too, and just really gets a lot of value throughout a game.
I know I feel like the best times that we saw Lucy in this tournament so far was the ace matchup in top 32 where Vista just deleted the Rebecca's on the side, but it is a nice testament to show like okay, it is a blocker that I can have that can just be easily pitched away. You know, just can eat up any sort of swing. And it's so many resources to be able to commit on the Nami side to be able to get rid of it. But goes ahead with the Gecko Moria to play the Perona out on field and keep that Cavendish from swinging. Again, trying to stall out these 7 cost Sabos, trying to get a turn off without one of them coming down.
Yeah, and I really, really like this. I think we're just sequencing it well to make sure that their Cavendish is like not only non-attacking and applying pressure to us, but that draw two has been again very relevant in these matchups. So good play there. We do have our second Rebecca hit the board, looking at the top three, and likely trying to apply some pressure with our Sabos. Maybe playing another one at this point. I mean, looks like we did just add one off the Rebecca. There is a chance that, if Cavendish is just expected to get stunned for the rest of the game, maybe we can just play over it too. So see what G ends up doing here.
And we're still sitting at 2 life as well. So it could be one of those situations where we could go like a Fire Fist combo potentially. But just watch me. Ace is going to minus 3,000 power to make the Gecko a 7,000 power character. And now going in with the Sabo, might try Fire Fist combo to trash 2 cards and remove it off the field. Going to be making it well under to be able to KO it right there by trashing the Cavendish and the other card in hand to continue controlling the board.
Yeah, and our leader is currently in 8K as well. We've got one Dawn left open, likely going to be used in the Rebecca, but starting off with an 8 to 5 since we've not used our Nami leader ability yet.
So would have to pitch a card in the hand. Still sitting at 3 life, so still a little bit healthy. But as these Sabos turn sideways, that life can go down pretty fast. So he's going to go ahead and leader effect 1 2K counter off to get 9 out of that 8,000 power swing. Is going to go ahead now, turn the Sabo sideways. The first life taken, no trigger on that one, just a 4-cost Zoro without a trigger. Another Sabo turn sideways. The last swing of the turn, baby 5, an auto trigger within this deck because your leader is multicolored. Just go ahead, draw 2, and a Dawn attached to Rebecca to pass.
Yeah, but again, it's a little bit of deja vu, right? We just see all of these Sabos hit the board. They're very tough for us to interact with as Nami. We're able to get rid of a Gecko Moria, which is kind of tough for a lot of decks, but we did it while also establishing a 7/9 blocker. So much momentum going for our Lucy player here, and it's again very tough for Nami to interact with this.
Yeah, it's one of those things that really Lucy excels with in a lot of matchups, that play these like one body per turns. If you can go ahead and remove that one body per turn in a variety of different ways, whether that's bottom decking, KOing, etc., that really puts on the tempo of the game as you get to the later stages when you have all of these blockers on field. But a 12,000 power Newgate, the biggest character on field now, is coming down to the board, is going to get that draw 2, trash 1, and 2 cards or 2 Dawn are going to be attached to both leader and the Perona, more than likely. Is going to be now a 7,000 power swing, just a block from the Sabo. We're going to decide if we want to swing this Perona or not. A 7,000 power swing, just a block off of Rebecca.
Yeah, and that's where like Rebecca gets value. It found the Sabo that you played that turn. Now it's offering a way to protect it, and at this point we just, I mean, what, maybe need room on our board to play our fourth copy of Sabo anyway, so we don't mind it just getting the block there.
It's interesting in the last several sets of the One Piece card game. You and I have been playing for a couple years now, and you remember the OPO1 searchers that just look for a card, but now we're starting to get these searcher cards, these one drops that not only search but do something else on top of it. Right? We
Yeah,
saw it a couple times in the tournament in the Kobe with Kyojaku, right, gaining power. And Rebecca is the same, just very strong one drops now in the game. Starting out with the Cavendish 7,000 power swing, pitching the Bartow brick is going to get Nami to leader effect and 1K out of that attack.
All right, and we do have Fire Fist. We're playing it the hard way
Fire
for the
Fist is
full 7. And then do we have 2 more for our second Fire Fist? We sure do. What a great combo there. Again, being able to get rid of that 12K Edward Newgate, and that is going to be so difficult to recover from.
Oh, yeah. I think it's more than likely going to cement G as the winner of this game, but it's not over until the final hit has been taken. Still has 3 swings left that he can utilize. Could be 9,000 power swings. I think you're okay turning all of these Sabos sideways at this point, especially because there's only 2 potential swings on the field right now. Don't think there's any way to be able to burn a life. Nami can't play Zay ha 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 ha. So is going to go ahead, take this last life. And now I think you just go in and swing with these Sabos, even if they counter out of it, right? Even if Mike does, I think you're still sitting in a pretty solid point, especially with this Dressrosa Kingdom. You do have to be wary of the 5-cost Luffy, right? Which could
Mhm.
present another swing. But if you have enough counter to be able to get out of just one of those attacks, it's all the worth.
Right. Thinking on this last Sabo, could be going into Perona as well. But decided, you know what, nah, I'm just good. I don't want to overplay my hand. I am ahead in this series as well. I just need to get one more game here, and we're so far ahead. Let's just hold off a little bit just in case there's something funny with, again, as you mentioned, the Rush Luffy, and we'll pass it back.
So I think a 10 cost Newgate is in the hand for the Nami. I'm not sure how valuable 10 cost Newgate could be in this scenario, especially because it does not heal, does not give you an opportunity for maybe like an 8 cost Gecko into a 4 cost Zoro, right? To be able to heal off of these things, which is a scenario that can happen with
Mhm.
this deck. You also have 5 cost Borsalino to be able to do a little bit of healing. So a couple different lines, but first starting out with the 5,000 power swing.
All right, and we use the event to get the plus 1K. We got the block on the 6K Nami attack, which means no 10 drop Newgate coming down. And we do have a Borsalino for 5 going to 1 life. We got 4 open. Maybe a Marco or a Zoro. It's going to be the Zoro here. So a double heal, which is great. But, the fact that we didn't even really apply any pressure on the other side means that we're, again, very susceptible for how wide this board is.
Yeah, 4 characters on the board, able to swing as well as a leader. Move into G's next turn. We'll see if he decides how heavy he wants to swing here. But first, as he typically has, he's going to swing 7,000 power with the Cavendish to be able to draw 2, trash 1, and pitch something that you're not needed in the hand.
And again, like if this matchup happens, Cavendish is so strong at just being able to continue to keep your hand size healthy and the cards you want in your hands as well. So using the leader effect and the Nami to get into 8K range to get out of it, we're going to play another Viola for 1 here. This could help us find, I don't know, maybe another copy of our Sabo here. Instead, going to find us a Rebecca. Not too bad.
I think there's still 1 Sabo left. I don't think we have found it yet. So can't be a bad card to play, right? So
Yeah.
is going to be now using that Rebecca. I think there's that Sabo right there. Immediately is going to grab it. And that 4th copy going to be hitting the field. But where do you play it exactly? Do you play it over the Rebecca or do you play it over the Cavendish?
We don't have any Dawn left, I think, to attach to Rebecca. So I think it's
That's
okay
true.
to play it there. I think if we have like another barrier in hand to get the removal of a Borsalino, or just Fire Fist. I'm gonna use it on the Zoro there. We
So
also
we'll
could
see.
Fire Fist the Borsalino and then give it the discard 2 to be able to get rid of it fully. But I think we're still in an okay spot. We're gonna go 8-7.
Doesn't opt for the KO effect, so Zoro is just going to be that minus 8,000 power through the opponent's turn. Is going to now start swinging with the Sambos. A potential trigger here for a body. Looks like maybe a Thriller Bark, Perona, or Kumasi, or maybe even a Hogback to get one of those on the field. Perona is going to be able to get the Hogback on the field. I believe it plays it rested,
Yeah,
although I'm not sure it really matters in the grand scheme of things. Yes, rested,
there you go.
but still 2 Sabos to be able to swing with.
I mean, with the blocker Borsellino here, likely not going to be able to go for game directly here, but another 9 to 7, taking it going down to 0. Maybe another trigger looking at the cards in the trash, potentially.
I I mean, I think you would wanna play it out.
Yeah, it could be an 8 drop Moria, and maybe the reason we kept the 4 drop Zoro on the board and not discarding twos, we want to make sure that it's not in trash and can't be played again, right?
Because especially if you are paying attention to the open deck list, you know that there is only one 4-cost Zoro in Mike's deck list. So the one right there on the field, you know, you may be getting a correct read there on like you just don't want them to loop more life.
Mm-hmm. So heavily thinking on this card. I'm going to guess it's Moria. We'll see if that's true or not. If it was another Thriller Bark, it could maybe be like Kumasi as well for like an extra 2K, but those are my guesses. So not adding to hand.
With only one
Or
swing
not,
left,
not playing the trigger, adding it to hand.
with one swing left, if it was something like a Kumasi, I believe we have 3 2Ks in hand, Baby 5 Zeus and also Kumasi then at that point. So you would be able to get out of the 9,000 power swing and is just going to pitch all of those cards in there. A 0 card hand, now 1 at the start of the turn, but you do have a couple swings left to be able to utilize to maybe get through in this game, but they all need to connect.
Yeah, and we got a minus 8K to the Zoro here. Not unpossible to just attach a bunch of Dawn to make it a 5K. It's going to be expensive to do so, but we're going to start with a 5K from the Hog back into the Lucy here.
Plenty of opportunities, especially with leader effect to get out of it, but just uses a 1K Rebecca. And now the 5K swing with Perona is going to have to ask for another card or the block. It's going to be leader effect to get rid of the momentum of him for plus 1,000 power. What do you do with the rest of this Dawn?
Yeah, this is pretty tough here.
Yeah, I think now at this point, there's no way to claim the win because I don't think you can get past the Sabo, but swings 10,000 power at lead.
We could use block and then using the okay, just 2K. I was thinking about the stage as well. We're going to play one more Borsellino, so we survive here just narrowly. But man, I don't know. Is this living? Because we've got like so much pressure coming down the nether side. Again, all of these Sabos have been able to find the board here. We're just going to start.
I think you would want to start with 5,000 power at lead because there's no cards in hand to use leader effect. This is a free swing that you can utilize.
Yeah.
And I think this has to be an 8-cost Gecko to be able to have some sort of ability to live, right? Because maybe like you could play the 4-cost Marco on the field to be able to draw 2 cards off of a block. Then maybe another Gecko can, if you play the Marco over the Zoro, to get in the trash. But no, it's just going to keep it in the hand. No trigger there. It looks like playing over is just going to get the Roger, and Mike concedes the game. G is your regional champion of Peoria with Lucy.
Yeah, and smiles all around. You can see, oh, the exhaustion just leave. Just saying, oh, I did it. I made it. I am the champion with Lucy. I don't know how I got here, but here I am. First place at this inaugural OP16 format in the North American side of the One Piece.